to actually speak to something Kathleen said about, comparing the cuts that Carney's proposing versus the Harper era cuts. We had to peer pressure him into doing a fall budget. He wasn't going to do one. And somebody who doesn't understand the importance of transparency and telling the electorate what you're going to do, how much you're going to spend, where you're going to make the investments, I have very little confidence that he's going to actually read the room here.
Man, Laryssa Waler has been cooking and exposing these liberal idiots for how unintelligent they really are. Laryssa goes off in a very articulate manner to burst the bubble of Kathleen Monk and makes her look like a total fucking imbecile. God, this brings me such joy. There's not much better in life than seeing a liberal slowly dying inside. Make sure you watch to the end to witness this complete beatdown. Drop a comment below, leave a like on the video to help me in the algorithm, consider subscribing, it's totally free and you can always unsub.
The line was so clear from the election platform, caps, not cuts. But in fact, the cuts that Carney has laid out, or his finance minister has laid out of 7.5, 10 to 15, is far greater than we even ever saw from the Stephen Harper government, who asked to cut 5 to 10% over 3 years.
And did so incrementally.
Incrementally, exactly. Yeah. And let's just remember what those cuts under the Harper years did. That meant a $36 billion cut to health care. That meant that veterans who returned from Afghanistan didn't get the supports they need. That means certain veteran offices closed. There were cuts to CFIA. The list goes on and on. That's when we brought in the famous Phoenix systems for cost savings, right? That turned into be an absolute blunder and has cost the government and taxpayers so much money. So we're now asking public servants to cut much deeper, much greater, but within the same timeline of 3 years. And I think it's actually going to be really, really, really stark if Carney does pivot away from what he promised the campaign, which was, frankly, just a cap, not a cut. I think that anyone can acknowledge that, sure, everyone can do a little belt tightening, including myself. But it's like, but I think that, but the deepness that he's doing and so quickly he's doing is really going to drive off that left flank that went and he attracted all those new Democrat and left-leaning voters. Well, maybe they go back to inshallah.
Here's Kathleen's dream sequence. They're going to come back to the okay.
That's right.
Right. Dan, I'll throw that. I love how you just stopped talking at that point. Yeah.
So I want to actually speak to something Kathleen said about comparing the cuts that Carney's proposing versus the Harper era cuts. The difference is there's so much more to cut. The broader public service increased 40% since 2015. At the CRA, we have 60,000 employees versus the IRS that has 80,000 employees, and they have 9 times our population. I don't think we have 9 times the service level. I don't think we have 40% better service from our public service than we did in 2015. So there appears to be a lot of fat to trim. What I want to also bring up is to Dan's point that this prime minister is going to be so much different in how he approaches finances. We had to peer pressure him into doing a fall budget. He wasn't going to do one. And somebody who doesn't understand the importance of transparency and telling the electorate what you're going to do, how much you're going to spend, where you're going to make the investments, I have very little confidence that he's going to actually read the room here. He wants to talk about big projects and big programs and, the national interest stuff, and it's all been great on paper. We haven't seen anything happen in real life. And I think if you look at the youth, for example, that Pierre Poilievre is speaking to, they don't want another program. They just want the opportunity to get a job and buy a house and live their Canadian dream. I think that Mark Carney doesn't understand that. And so I'm really interested to see what's in this budget, and I'm really interested to see how he's going to communicate it to people who are feeling real hurt right now and who feel left behind by sort of the thinking process of this Liberal government.
This is awesome from Laryssa. It echoes the sentiment that Mark Carney is always going on about when he talks about Canada having the best tariffs in the world, but really, our economy is on the brink of a recession, so even less tariffs have a larger impact on our economy compared to other countries around the globe. Mark Carney has done nothing but offer empty promises and platitudes. Laryssa exposes this, and I truly hope that enough viewers of CTV wake up and understand that they've been duped, and perhaps they should consider switching sides. Liberals, if it makes you feel more at ease, just think of the way that old liberals used to be. By today's standards, you'd be considered right-wing, so you're already in that bracket anyway. You might as well jump on board with the rest of Canada and think of your children's futures, because under this current Liberal administration, we're sinking, and you just keep putting more holes in the boat.